Thank you all for joining us this lovely afternoon. My name is Twyla. I'm the Director of Outreach at the Department of Higher Ed. Um, at CDHE, we oversee a few different programs in the outreach division. So we are responsible for statewide FAFSA and CASFA completion, as well as 3 programs for current and former foster students, education and training voucher or ETV program, and the foster ed program, and then a new program that we will tell you about in a bit. I am going to go ahead and just introduce really quickly our staff. We have Jennifer Lucero. She will be giving us some lovely FAFSA updates. We have Sophie Vogel. She will be giving us CASFA updates. We also have Teresa Fowler and Katie Gutierrez Nittman, who will be giving us the overview on ETV, Foster Ed, and the new program, Empower Ed. So I will go ahead and send it over to right away. Let's send it over to Cassandra. She is coming to us today from CDE, and she's going to tell us a bit about the FAFSA CASFA grants that they have just launched. Cassandra, go ahead.
Hi, yes, thank you, Twyla, for that introduction. Everyone, my name is Cassandra Cordova. I am the Post-Secondary Workforce Readiness Specialist with CDE. I oversee the FAFSA CASFA completion grant. We just closed out round 5 on Monday, but we are anticipating opening round 6 at the end of October. Early November. So I really hope to get the word out about this grant. It's really awesome. It's like a 4-question grant, very easy to apply. The amounts that we're telling people to request is like what's reasonable for them to spend by June 2025. So if they feel like they can spend 15,000 by then, request 15,000. We are doing a priority for high schools with less than 66% post-secondary credential attainment in high school. BOCES districts, charter schools with less than 75% federal and state financial aid application completion rates, high schools with free and reduced price lunch rates higher than the 37.2%, and also looking at high schools located in rural or small rural settings. If you're awarded the funds, you can use the funds to develop and distribute information about financial aid. You can use them to provide training or send your school counselors and educators to get training on helping complete FAFSA and CASFA. You can also utilize the funds to organize and host opportunities for FAFSA completion for families and other stakeholders that can provide support. You can also provide food, but within a reasonable limit, and then also updating your ICAP process. So please, if you are interested or have questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to make some time to provide support and answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Cassandra. I'm going to go ahead and put into the chat your the link for your financial aid and FAFSA CASFA completion page. So I will put that in there. And before we switch on over to FAFSA updates, does anybody have any questions for Cassandra? No? All right. Then with that, I will send this over to Jennifer. She's going to give us some FAFSA updates.
Thank you, Twyla. I will share my screen. How does that look, Sophie?
I'll let you know as soon as I see it.
Okay. You are not seeing it then. Okay, let me start over.
I see it.
Excellent. All right. Thanks for your help. Is it good?
Switch the display settings.
Will do.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you for your help. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us, especially on your lunch hour. I am Jennifer Lucero, Outreach Navigator with the Department of higher education. And today I will give you not just 25-26 FAFSA updates, which I know we are all waiting for, but I'm also going to give some 24-25 FAFSA updates because they will affect, of course, 25-26. We'll touch on some beta testing that's currently going on, what we can be doing right now, and then we'll dig into FSAID and contributors a little, and I'll touch on unusual circumstances and special circumstances. But first, before we get started on that, I thought we would just take a moment to reflect on the 24-25 FAFSA year, because I know for many of us, words like challenging and maybe annoying, those types of things might come to mind. But honestly, when I think of the 24-25 year, I think of how it really brought us all together and how we were being so helpful, and people even know the Department of Higher Ed more, I feel like now. So there were some good things that did come out of it. Like, for instance, contributors without Social Security numbers can now complete the form. That was a big pain point during the 24-25 FAFSA, but something good that's come out of that is they are now given access to the form once they complete their FSAID, so that they can enter that information manually. For the most part, most of the issues that I am seeing right now in the field on the 24-25 are from mismatched information. So that means that parent, when they created their FSAID, they entered something differently than the student entered it on their end. It could be as minimal as like a capital letter versus the lowercase letter. So really the best thing to do is have a picture or have those accounts side by side, so parent and contributor, or excuse me, student and contributor can make sure that information is matching and is very accurate. Keep encouraging students to fill out the 24-25 FAFSA if they haven't done so already. If they are considering starting in January, starting next semester, starting this summer, then they will need the 24-25 FAFSA, and that will be open until June 30th. I would encourage students to stay away from the paper FAFSA at this point and only fill out the electronic FAFSA. As for our completion rates, they are coming along, but what is happening right now for 25-26 is these are the updates, and as you can see, there are not too many. Beta testing has already begun. The FAFSA will open for everyone December 1st. As of right now, nationally for the 24-25, we're looking at 52.4%. and Colorado is at 43.2%. For these numbers, the national numbers did come from the NCAN FAFSA tracker, and Colorado numbers came from our own Colorado FAFSA completion portal, which Twyla will give us some exciting updates about now.
There we go. Thanks, Jen, for that. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So some of you may know, may not know that the Department of Higher Ed has a Colorado FAFSA completion portal or tool. It was created many years ago. I'm not even sure when it was created, but it was a while ago. And what it can do is it has information, student level information that only school districts and those counselors and those people who are approved in the data share agreement can view. So, teachers and counselors can follow up with students who have started the FAFSA but haven't signed it and that sort of thing. So we have 40 school districts on board right now. We are working to get, of course, all school districts on board. So you can send an email there at the bottom, the FAFSA@dhe.state.co.us, and we can work on getting your data share agreement signed, and then so you can get access to the portal. Mid-October to the end of October of this year, we will be launching a new portal or tool. It will be called the Colorado Financial Aid Application Tool, and it will also include CASFA data, as well as a full new look and feel, and it will be more user friendly. So you can I'm hoping that they'll keep the same link for the portal itself, but you can keep on checking back on the CDHE website and just get updates on that. But we're really excited for that to be launched. All right, thanks, Jen. That's all that I had on that.
Thank you, Twyla. That's really exciting. And this QR code will take you to the current CASFA. I'm sorry, not CASFA, FAFSA completion portal. All right. I think I muted. Okay, so as I mentioned in the updates, beta testing has begun the first round. Right now, it's really all around language and making sure that everyone understands how questions are being asked. As you can see, this is the timeline for the future beta testing. Community-based organizations, high schools, school districts, institutes of higher education, they're all participating in this beta testing. In fact, right here in Colorado, Adams High School is participating in beta 2, I believe, in the beta 2 testing. If you'd like to see some of the issues that they're resolving with this beta testing, you can go to this website down here and it'll show you some of the issues that they've encountered. And I don't know that they exactly have fixes. There's like a couple that I know for sure they have fixes for, but you can follow along with that testing at the website. So things that we could be doing right now in preparation for the 25-26 FAFSA, since it's not being released until December 1st, is helping students and families create their FSA ID, or in other words, the studentaid.gov account. They're going to, I don't know if they're going to be interchangeable, but they are the same things. We should really support students when they create that FSA ID, making sure that their contributor information matches how the student is entering that information, and also remembering the information. This QR code will take you to the worksheet that will help guide you through that process, or guide your students and their families through that process. We should also be encouraging families, if they haven't done so, to file their 2023 federal income taxes. Those are the taxes that will be used for the 25-26 FAFSA. And if anyone is planning those FAFSA nights, please remember to include CASFA with that as well, so everyone feels welcomed. And we can, if we're available, we could certainly help out with those FAFSA CASFA nights. But when you are helping students and families create the FSA ID or the studentaid.gov account, remember the FSA ID is merely the signature, giving consent for the federal tax information to be pulled over electronically from the Internal Revenue Service. So that FSA ID is not necessarily being a contributor, just keeping that in mind. When you do create the FSA ID, name must appear as it does on the Social Security number. They'll need the Social Security number, date of birth, and an email. Not a student email if it's a contributor, not a student email or a work email. It has to be their own personal private email so they can receive this information. And students should not be using school emails or work emails. They should be using private emails as well. And those emails should be separate for each of them. In fact, that's something that the new language is going to walk students and contributors through, is actually making a separate email for this process. But also remembering that the FSA ID, once again, is merely just a signature. It is not actually being a contributor. Anyone under 24 will more than likely have a contributor on their FAFSA form, and this will more than likely be their parents. Now, whether those parents are married, divorced, never been married, if they are living in the same household, they will both be contributors on the student's FAFSA. If they file jointly, then only one parent will be a contributor, because once that parent's information is pulled over from the IRS, the other person's information is pulled over as well. But if those parents file separately, then they both will need to be contributors on the FAFSA form. If the parents are divorced, this has not changed from the 24-25 FAFSA. The contributor is the parent that supported the student most financially during the previous 12 months. If that is both of the parents, then it's the parent with the higher income and the most assets. If that is equal, then the parents can decide amongst themselves which parent will be the contributor. And if that parent is remarried, this is very important. Both the parent and the step parent are on the FAFSA as contributors. Now, if they file their taxes jointly, then only one parent is the contributor. If they file separately, then they are both contributors on that FAFSA form. And just side note here, remember, they will both need FSA ID. But then if they file jointly, only one is the contributor on the FAFSA form. I know it gets a little bit hairy when you're explaining it. So here's a picture for you. Hopefully you can visualize it. Once again, if your parents are married, are they married to each other? Yes, then both go on the FAFSA. If no, do they live together? If yes, they both go on the FAFSA. If no, we do have to ask which parent provided more financial support during the last 12 months. And is that parent remarried? If yes, then both parent and step parent go on the FAFSA, and if no, only the parent goes on as a contributor. Sorry. And I just like to reinforce that with those are the three questions you'll ask the student when they're trying to identify who their contributor is. And when I say parent, I do mean biological parent or legally adopted parent. For instance, if they're living with grandparents and they have not adopted student, the grandparents do not go on the FAFSA. If the step parent has not adopted the student, then they are not a parent. They go on the FAFSA as a parent spouse. That is how they're identified. But if there is no parent, then they might fall into an unusual or a special circumstance. Unusual circumstances are recorded right on the FAFSA when the student is filling out the FAFSA. Might be something like parental abandonment, or if it's a hazard for the student to contact the parent, they would fall into unusual circumstances. Special circumstances are those types of circumstances that are not recorded on the FAFSA, but the student can contact the financial aid department to discuss these things. So with unusual circumstances, like I said, if they're not able to contact the parent safely, they would check that box on the FAFSA. They will then be given provisional independent status so they can complete the FAFSA without the parent information. They will then contact the school's financial aid office to find out what type of documentation they'll need to provide. With special circumstances, the student uses those, like if it's 24-25, then they use the 22 taxes, right? If something has changed in the family since 2022, then the student still fills out the FAFSA according to those taxes, but then will contact the financial aid office, explain those special circumstances, and the financial aid office will guide them through the next steps for special circumstances. Oops, sorry. Just want to share our contact information with you. If there is any help we can provide, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. This is our outreach box or the FAFSA specific email, and then my email there. I'll stop sharing.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Jen, for all those updates. We will have some time at the end to discuss some questions and answers. So I will go ahead and send this over to Sophie for some CASFA updates.
Thanks. That sounds great. I'm going to get myself all set and then share screens accordingly. Let's see. Okay. And this is one. Thanks, everybody. Again, I'm Sophie Vogel. I'm the CASFA coordinator. My updates are going to be relatively quick, I hope. So for our agenda, we're going to talk about the current aid year, which is the 24-25 CASFA updates. Then we're going to talk about next year, which is the 25-26 CASFA updates. And then a little more about CASFA, what we know will not change. So for the 24-25 CASFA, the current year, there were 2,187 CASFAs completed by July 2024. We do hope that this number continues to rise because the CASFA document will be open until June 30th, 2025. If you have any interest in viewing the CASFA fact sheet, there's the QR code right there. In addition, that's posted on the CASFA website. For the 25-26 CASFA, that's the aid year that we're waiting on. So the 25-26 CASFA is waiting on the 25-26 FAFSA. That's sort of how the CASFA is designed. So it is relies upon the FAFSA. So the 25-26 CASFA target launch day is December 1st, 2024, just like FAFSA. The 25-26 CASFA software development requires the 25-26 FAFSA information to prepare to launch. Depending on how much FAFSA information is released on December 1st, the CASFA could be ready by the first week in December. We, myself, and everyone at CDHE will communicate more details about a 25-26 CASFA launch date, confirm it as soon as possible. We understand saying December 1st and saying the first week of December is complicated. So we look forward to getting you an exact date. However, we have close to an estimate right now. And that's the best we can do with the information that we have at the current moment. So a little bit about CASFA eligibility. CASFA is the Colorado application for state financial aid. It's the state financial aid application for undocumented Colorado asset students. Students who submit a CASFA are going to say, I am not a U.S. citizen. They also maybe qualify as a Colorado asset student because they attended a Colorado high school for at least 1 year immediately before graduation or completed a high school equivalency examination in Colorado and have continuous and physical presence in Colorado for 12 months before the start of the semester. A student who says, I should complete a CASFA if I have financial need, regardless of my Colorado asset eligibility. So again, students who are not Colorado asset eligible, if they have financial need, they should complete a CASFA. So that CASFA eligibility includes students who have DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and also includes students who have TPS, which is Temporary Protected Status. So if you have additional questions about this, of course, you're welcome to contact me. I highly recommend you check out the link at the bottom of this presentation or use the QR code to go to FAFSA's website, which determines who are eligible non-citizens. So anyone who's not on that list of an eligible non-citizen, they're going to be a CASFA student. Jay, do you want to ask your question now? If not, we can go wait until the end. I'm going to keep going. For clarification about Colorado Asset. Colorado Asset is advancing students for a stronger economy tomorrow. Colorado Asset eligible students, they pay in-state tuition at Colorado's public colleges and universities. And specific to my role, students who are Colorado asset eligible students can complete a CASFA and be awarded the Colorado Student Grant depending on their financial need. So for Colorado asset, only 1 year in Colorado is required, no longer 3 years. The student is not time bound on when they attend college after high school graduation. They must be physically present in Colorado for 1 year before enrolling. That QR code takes you to revise asset legislative information. And I want to just give a quick message about college affordability. So students complete a FAFSA or a CASFA. They do not complete both. If they accidentally complete both, it could inadvertently have their financial aid file suspended. So we really want to avoid that. So if any of you work with students, and your students tell you they don't want to pay the sticker price for college, remember, sticker price is college access terminology referring to the highest possible price to pay. That student should apply for financial aid if they don't want to pay the highest possible price. Students who are not going to be Pell Grant eligible through a FAFSA could receive state or institutional aid by completing a FAFSA and also by completing a CASFA. So again, if anyone doesn't want to pay full price, they should complete an application. That's it. Here's some contact information for me. I look forward to answering your questions and supporting you with all of this soon. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Sophie. Does anybody have any questions? I saw there was a hand up. Oh, it's lowered now. Well, we'll have some more time at the end to answer any other questions that you may have. Right now, I will go ahead and send it over to Katie. She is going to give us the updates on Empower Ed, ETV, and Foster Ed. Katie, go up for it.
Okay, thanks, Twyla. Let me see if I can get my correct screen here. How that works. Okay. Okay. There we go. Are you able to see that all right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, awesome. So I'll start with our explanation of the education and training voucher. So this is our federally funded program that's administered by the Colorado Department of Higher Education, and it provides financial assistance for students who have experienced foster care. And some quick eligibility notes for this. It is for students, there's an age requirement. So students between 17 and 25. Since this is a federal program, it is for students who are US citizens or qualified non-citizens. And we generally do follow the FAFSA requirements. So if a student is able to complete the FAFSA and is eligible for federal aid, then they can apply for ETV and receive those funds potentially. We're also looking for students to be current Colorado residents, and there's a few specific items here. Students just need to meet one of these, that they were in foster care on or after their 14th birthday, in a Division of Youth Services community placement on or after 14, had a finalized adoption with adoption assistance on or after 16, or had guardianship assistance established on or after 16. So those are a few different ways that students can qualify for the aid. And certainly some of those might be more familiar than others. We in our office are always happy to help look into eligibility for any students you might have questions about. We're also looking that students have been accepted and enrolled into a degree, certificate, or other accredited program at a college, university, technical, or vocational school. And if they're reapplying and have been in school, we'll see that they're meeting satisfactory academic progress. So this funding is nice in that it's fairly flexible, right? Students don't have to be at a four-year university. They can be at a trade school, at a two-year college. It could be a wide variety of, as long as it's an accredited program. And satisfactory academic progress, just a note on that, it can vary a bit between schools. Each institution will define specifically what they mean by that, but generally it's maintaining somewhere between a 2.0 or 2.5 GPA and not withdrawing from too many classes. And this note on the side here, ETV funding is eligible for up to 5 years for students, and they don't have to be back-to-back years. So they can be in intermittent years. And the credit hours that students have before they start receiving funding won't count against them. So there's no credit hour limit there. I will note ETV funding is for a maximum of $5,000 for the academic year, and some students receive that. The institution kind of splits it up. So with all of our programs, we send our funding directly to the institutional financial aid office to be dispersed to students. Some institutions will give that full amount in the fall. Some will split it up between fall and spring. And the 5,000 is just a maximum. So that's not the exact amount every student receives. We do look at it on a specific student case by case basis. So moving on to foster ed, this is our state funded program that we administer and is also designed for students who have experienced foster care in the state of Colorado. One big difference from ETV, since ETV is federal and nationwide, students can apply their ETV funding to out of state or private institutions. Since foster ed is state funded, it is only applicable to public in-state post-secondary institutions. The eligibility for foster ed is that a student is a Colorado resident and experienced foster care in Colorado on or after their 13th birthday, or were in non-certified kinship care with an adjudication of neglect or dependence according to the Children's Code on or after their 13th birthday. And again, we're always happy to help look into eligibility for any students. The non-certified kinship care can be a bit confusing at times. And we're also looking that students are attending a state public institution. And again, this could be a 2-year college, it could be a 4-year university, it could be a trade school or a technical college, as long as it is a public institution, and that they're enrolled in courses leading towards an accredited program or certificate or degree, and meeting SAP as well, satisfactory academic progress, if they are reapplying. And the reason as well that we have, that a student is attending is we just need to know where to send their funding when they apply. Sometimes students end up applying before they know exactly where they're going, and that's okay. They just need to let us know if they change their mind about what institution they're attending. So we'll do like an enrollment check before we send any funding, just to make sure that the student is there. So we just need to know that. And foster ed, unlike ETV, which has that $5,000 maximum, foster ed will actually cover up to the cost of attendance for qualified students. So that includes usually kind of a standard set of things. It's beyond just tuition and fees. It will include some living expenses, books, other supplies needed for school. Each institution kind of determines their cost of attendance per student, since it does include things like the credit out, how many credit hours they're enrolled in, and what that cost is. But in general, that cost is more comprehensive than like what just ETV might cover. So up to that total cost of attendance. And foster ed is considered like the last dollar financial aid. So any other grants, scholarships, awards that students have will come in first towards their cost of attendance, and then any remaining amount up to that total cost of attendance is what foster ed covers. And foster ed will cover students up to their 132 semester credit hours or 198 quarter credit hours from the time they enroll in the program. So any credit hours earned before won't count against them if they were in concurrent enrollment, anything like that. So that'll only start counting once they receive the funding. And unlike ETV, there's no age limit for this program. So students who experience foster care in Colorado quite a while ago could still qualify. One other note I'll make is that for both ETV and foster ed, there's no minimum time requirement for the foster care. They could have experienced 1 day of foster care. So for ETV, it's just after the age of 14, and for foster ed, after the age of 13. But even a day could qualify them for the aid. Right. And lastly, I'll discuss Empower Ed, This is our newest program. That was just started through the legislation from this spring, and it is also state funded and administered by the Colorado Department of Higher Education. And this is geared to provide funding to individuals who experienced homelessness and were identified as being eligible for McKinney-Vento services by a designated school personnel while they were enrolled at a Colorado high school. So the eligibility, as we mentioned, we're looking for those students who were identified as McKinney-Vento eligible anytime between the start of 9th grade and the end of 12th grade at a public Colorado high school. And we're looking for students who were at least, or between the ages of 17 and 26. So not yet 27, 17 and 26, which again is similar, but just slightly different than ETV, which is 17 to 25. So just to keep us on our toes, a little different. We're looking for students who are current Colorado residents and have been accepted into an in-state public institution of higher education, local district college, or area technical college. Much of this is the same as foster ed, right? It's a state funded program. It can only be applied to public in-state institutions, but a wide variety of institutions. And that a student is enrolled in, again, an accredited program. One wrinkle in this legislation is that it can only be applied towards a student's first degree type. So if a student, say they did concurrent enrollment, they really rocked it, they graduated with an associate's degree, they could not use this towards another associate's degree, but they could use it towards a certificate or towards a bachelor's degree. So we're just looking for their first degree of that type. And let's see here, also checking that they're meeting SAP if they're reapplying while they've been in school, and that they've completed the FAFSA or the CASFA, which is something we also look for students seeking foster ed funding. And the way Empower Ed, so Empower Ed has the same credit hour limit as foster ed, so up to 132 hours, semester hours, or 198 quarter hours after the student starts receiving the funding. So this one is a bit of a mix. There is an age limit and a credit hour limit for Empower Ed. And the way the funding works, it's very similar for all three of these. We receive a roster for the students, and we send for eligible students that funding directly to the financial aid office of their institution. And from there, it's dispersed to the students. Empower Ed, the same as foster ed, will cover up to that total cost of attendance for a student. So similarities there. I will, note our contact information. I will say there's more information available about how students can access funding. So detailed sort of application information on our website. ETV and Empower Ed have applications that we host and that we will keep track of at the department. Foster Ed doesn't have a specific application. We do have a FERPA release form that we ask students to fill out, but otherwise students just identify at their financial aid office of the institution they're attending. So that's generally, they just need to provide their documentation to the financial aid office to be eligible. But ETV and Empower Ed do have really brief online applications. So all that can be found at our website. And then we have these two general inboxes, which are continuously monitored. So please reach out anytime with any questions. And that's all.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Katie. Awesome programs. We work very hard with these programs every day, and all the post-secondary options navigators are here to help students and institutions and high school counselors with any sort of questions they may have. So please reach out. Let's see, next we have the questions. I'm sure most of you remember when you registered, there were specific questions that you were able to put into the form. So we are going to go ahead and tackle those.
Great. Thank you, Twyla. I'm going to
Yep,
share my
go ahead.
screen.
Nope, you go for it.
So the ones that are, the answers are in red, we won't necessarily cover or read based on the fact that it's already covered. So Jen, do you want to do number 2?
Yeah. So do we have an update regarding FAFSA, FSA IDs for parents, contributors with no social security number? It's definitely something that is going through the beta testing right now and that we're seeing. As for what I've heard, there will not be many changes to it other, than what's happened already. So if those contributors do not have a social security number, still clicking that box to indicate they do not have the number. Some questions may auto-populate, which they'll answer. And after answering those, they'll be given access to the FAFSA form.
Thanks, Jen. I'll cover number 3. Someone said, I've helped one student would like a global look at the process. Also would like to know how this impacts individuals with DACA status. So first of all, students with DACA are not eligible for federal student aid. So if a student has DACA, they need to complete a CASFA. They should not be completing a FAFSA. And then in terms of a global look at the process, here is the link. And I just want to show you all CDHE, we have a new FAFSA resource. We have it in English and Spanish. It's pretty great if perhaps that individual is going to say FAFSA for professionals. They click learn more here. There are a bunch of tools that you can use. You can navigate back. Again, all of this is available in Spanish. So hopefully you all will be able to use this tool that should guide you. And then we're not going to do 4 and 5 too much, and then go to 6, I think, Jen.
Yeah, and I can just touch on those. Are we any closer to having it work properly? I'm saying yes. I'm seeing some really positive things coming out of the beta testing for sure. And just from what I'm seeing in the field, helping students and their contributors complete the FSA ID, think that it's going to go much smoother. Why is it delayed again? The 24-25 FAFSA, it didn't get to go through a testing period. So I feel kind of bad for the 24-25 because the 25-26 is at least getting a lot of attention. And the beta testing is why it is delayed. Hopefully by the time December 1st rolls around, they have figured out all of the bugs by then, and everybody can just go in with their FSA IDs and seamlessly fill that out. Have errors been fixed? Why is it coming out late? Any changes? There was actually, they have discovered during the beta testing that there was an error happening to students and contributors on step 7, and that fix has been fixed. They said when you start to fill those out, you will find out yourself, but it was just getting an error message and kind of taking them in a loop, taking them back to the beginning. But like I said, they have said that they have corrected that bug.
Thanks, Jen. For number 7, this person said they wanted to check on the latest info on release dates. Sometime in December was what they heard. We have December 1st. I think that's a pretty solid date. I don't know if there will be glitches on December 1st like there were during the launch last year, but hopefully not. And I also wanted to share another person said they had a question about helping students and families fill out the FAFSA. So again, I recommend using those resources that I pointed to on CDHE's website. That's a new toolkit. And then additionally, when should FAFSAs be completed by? Usually with FAFSA CASFA, the best way to sort of think about it is to reframe that question into you should start your FAFSA or CASFA as soon as possible. Deadlines vary by so many degrees, right? It varies by university, in a state, out of state. It varies by community college versus university. And it also, I guess I wouldn't focus on deadlines. I would focus on start them as soon as you can, complete them as soon as you can. Sometimes money runs out before a deadline. Sometimes money runs out after a deadline. So again, just work on it as soon as you can. I'm going to stop sharing. Should we talk about some questions in the chat?
Sure. There was a question earlier. They were a little bit late to the Zoom today and wondering if the slides will be available. We can certainly send out or email the slides to participants today. And then also the recording will be posted on our website. So look for that. And then let's see, where's some other. Sophie, do you want to do this question from Daniela?
Yes, that sounds great. Let me get there. Thank you, Daniela. So what do students who qualify for CASFA need to do to prepare? They need to work with their family to make sure their family has completed their 2023 federal income taxes. Those are just like the FAFSA, those are required for CASFA completion. Yes, students can create a CASFA account now, just like an FSA ID. Once they create an account, when they're in their portal, the student will see, oh, I'm not able to work on my 25-26 CASFA yet. So please, if you encourage your students to create a CASFA account now, be sure to help them not start a CASFA, because if they start the current aid year, then they'll have to redo it for next aid year. Let me know if you have any additional questions about that, Daniela.
Okay, and it looks like there was one more question from Lisa regarding CASFA.
Great. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. So yes, if an adult completed their high school equivalency in Colorado, they should complete a CASFA, and the college or university may be able to award them basically may be able to award them Colorado state financial aid because they're a Colorado student. There aren't other restrictions for adult learners. The high school equivalency exam in Colorado is basically demonstrating that they are college ready, right? Because they either have a high school diploma or a high school equivalency. And then please reach out to me if you have additional questions. Thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, before I give you a little bit of an update on events and upcoming fun things, does anybody have any more questions? Nope. Okay, great. All right, so we have a few upcoming community events. So next we have, next month we have on November 13th at noon, another lunch and learn. And what we'll do is we will continue these probably for the next 6 months or so, I'm thinking, just during the whole hype of the FAFSA CASFA application process. So we will keep up to date with, all the happenings with FSA and the CASFA application, as well as other events and such that we have. So we will always give the updates at these lunch and learns. So we have one on November 13th, and then we also have one scheduled on December 11th. So please sign up if you have not already for those events. We have coming up next week, Colorado Free Application Days. So this is a day in which all institutions, or a majority, or I think all of them, have waived application fees for students, and they can apply to as many institutions as they would like. I put the chat or the link in the chat. So please look there, and each individual school has their own instructions on how to get the fee waivers. But this is a fun event. We get quite a few applications, or the institutions get a lot of applications for free app days coming in. So we have that. Next, FAFSA CASFA office hours. Sophie and Jen on their calendar offer time for students to go in, create a meeting, essentially, Calendly, and then they can certainly work with the student or families or counselors and help them with filling out the FAFSA or answer any questions. I will put that into the chat here. You can access the blue area there for their office hours and book the time with them. And then we also, and we need to update this, we have, this is our events page as well. So we have upcoming events, we place them here. And we still need to work on updating the financial aid educator trainings in which we have around the state. We've already convened 5 of them, I believe, and so we have more to do. We are scheduled to do next February 20th, 2025. We are doing Adams State, and we're hoping we can get up to, I think, 50 registrants, and in which we talk about FAFSA and CASFA training, and we go more in depth with that. We do some pieces on ICAP. We work with CDE and we create an agenda. So we're looking forward to that. So that'll be at Adams State. And then the following week, February 27th, we're looking at somewhere in northern Colorado, either at Front Range Community College, the Larimer campus, or Ames Community College. So please check back on our website here, and we will have those dates and locations finalized soon. Sophie, Jen, did I get all events? I think those were the main ones that we have scheduled. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Well, we will post this recording on our website, and maybe I should go ahead and stop that. So thank